folks, we're back with Game 9. Morphy's Games of Chess, part of the American Chess Congress. We got the third round, October 24th, 1857. All right, we've seen Liechtenstein and Morphy go at it twice. Morphy getting the best of Liechtenstein in both games. This time, Liechtenstein has the white pieces, and he's going to try to start it, mix it up, start something a little different. The queen pawn opening, huh, folks? Morphy answers with d5, and we got the queen's gambit. All right? It says queen's gambit declined. Why? Because Morphy doesn't take the pawn, all right? He just pushes e6 here, the common move, all right? All right, you decline the gambit. Now look at this. If you take the pawn, the one thing I want to mention is you got to look out. You don't try to hold on to the pawn with b5, okay? Because then White can just, it's proven, okay? It's been proven that White can get back his pawn. There's no way. Look, you can't play like this trying to protect it because then you lose the rook, right? So the only way to try to hold on, right, is c6. But even this loses, okay? Because then you got two things. One, you got this one, right? You're attacking the rook in the corner. I think White wins it. Right, I think Black's busted here. No way to save the rook in the corner. Right, now, sometimes you see this on move, what is it, on move 3. Right, you see this move 2. He takes, sometimes instead of e3, you see e4, just grabbing the center, grabbing all those center squares, right, with the two-pawn duo in the center. All right, and now he's looking to capture on c4 with his king bishop, right? All right, so again, if you try to hold on, not good, folks, not good. Not recommended. Here comes the move. Again, you can't play like this. Same thing, you lose your rook, okay? It's just worth mentioning to the beginners, all right. So you try to protect it with c6, all right. This is what I'm showing you. You can't do it, folks. Now you got b3, okay? And if he takes b3, you could take with check. You could take this guy, you know what I mean? This is how it goes. Well, you hang your d-pawn, I guess. I guess you hang your d-pawn if you take with the queen. So, all right. So you take over here with check, right? Not bad. Not bad. Who cares now, right? You got it. It's easy. Easy game. Easy peasy for White, you know? So the point of all this nonsense, all right, just to reiterate, with the queen's gambit, you can accept it, you know, but once that other pawn comes up, don't try to hold it. This is a mistake, beginner mistake by Black. You're just wasting your time, and you're letting White come out of it a little better, you know. He gets his pawn back, and your queen side is all disrupted. Your pawns are busted up, trying to hold on to that one pawn on c4. No good. Don't do it. Just develop, you know, okay? You can look up that. That's the queen's gambit accepted. But we have Morphy with e6. Queen's gambit declined. We don't take that c4 pawn. White offers it. We decline it. Okay, here we go. The knights come out. Liechtenstein, knight c3, Morphy, knight f6. All standard procedure. Been played 1,000 times, right? Thousands of times. All right, now, Liechtenstein with the knight, and Morphy playing c5, striking at the center, right? Okay, posing those questions. Okay, so now let's go through the notes, all right? I'll make this brief because, folks, it's opening theory, right? This book is very old. The openings have come a long way since then, but let me tell you, it's always good to go over what came before. Sometimes you could rehabilitate these lines. You could bring them right back, even because they're so old, nobody's really playing them, they're not fashionable. You could surprise opponents with them. They may not play it right because they've never seen it before, you know. And not only that, you could bring it back, and you could whip up some new ideas. A lot of you kids got your computers. You could work on new, you know, these old lines. Maybe you come up with a new weapon, you know, a new move in between there, here and there. Next thing you know, you people don't know how to answer it, right? All right, so anyway, let's get into it. I'll be brief with these notes. I'll try to be, just to be thorough. Okay, here you go. C5. All right, please forgive me if I butcher this name. Teachman. A move praised by Teachman as forcing White to play e3 before bringing out his queen bishop. Okay, what are we talking about? Look, The bishop now is trapped, right? Okay, so that's a little passive now for white. One of his pieces, that bishop is blocked by his own pawn, right, on e3. Okay, so they say here, white can, however, play after Morphy c5, right? Not e3, but play this first. Look, pawn takes pawn, right, on d5. Black takes back, and now develop the bishop to g5, right? As Schletcher has done on various occasions. Carl Schletcher, great master from long ago. He had some great battles with Lasker. I think there was, for the championship, Emanuel Lasker versus Carl Schletcher. You could look that one up. That was a good battle. Schletcher held his own almost. He almost took the title. Great player back in the day, Emanuel Lasker. That was the second world champion. He beat Steinitz back in the day. Steinitz being the official first world champion. Anyway, okay, I'm starting to dig deep. I got to come back, right? All right, now look at this. Look, so this is how Schletcher has done on various occasions, right? Now, what's so good about this? Watch this. Let's say common move, right? You know, black takes on d4, okay. And white now could take back with the knight if he wants, okay? And that supports, you know, blocks black's d5 pawn, okay? It's isolated. There's no other pawns on the c file or e file to protect this pawn. It could become a target for white. And he solidifies the d4 outpost. He keeps a piece on there, good outpost. No one could boot away that knight. He supports it with the e pawn, right? Supports that d4 square, and he's got the bishop out. e5 comes after the bishop comes out. You see, so white's doing good. Now the main point, though. Watch this. Watch again. Slow motion, instant replay. Right here we go. Morphy. Okay, the move we're talking about is black playing c5. Right. Okay, white taking first on d5. Black takes back with his e-pawn. Very crucial to understand. The e-pawn now moves to d5. Black has no e-pawn, right? Now he plays the bishop, and if black takes, white could take back with the knight. All right, what does it all mean? Okay, watch the difference now. Watch this second part of the note here. Okay? Here's what it says after c5. It says, let's see. Bishop g5 on the fifth move was temporarily rehabilitated by Pillsbury, the great American master back in the day. At Cambridge Springs, 1904, when he played against Lasker, bishop to g5, Lasker took the pawn, right? Now he took with the knight, but look at this. No, actually, this wasn't the... Pillsbury knew better. He took with the queen. Okay? Very good. A lot of lines here. He took with the queen. Why? Because here's the side note. Look at this. Okay? To even give this a curious variation arises here from, look, if you take with the knight, now we have an e-pawn to boot that knight out of there. See? See the difference? All because this wasn't played before it. Diverting the e-pawn to d5. Okay, so now we could hit the knight. The knight swings to b5, right? And look at this. Now we hit with d4 and we chase the other knight. And lo and behold, let's say if he goes here, folks, right? Uh-oh, my knight's pinned, right? Well, not really. Look at this. Holy smokes, you lost your mind. But look, folks, we get it back over here. Look at this, right? Check. If he blocks with the queen, we get it back with check. And then we could take this guy, right? And then I guess he takes here, right? And there we go. We got a whole other game. Black's doing fine, right? He's doing fine. Maybe that D pawn of white now is going to be, it's overextended. Maybe black could win it. Boot that knight out of there. Who knows? It's a whole other game, right? But black, you think that we're doing the impossible here. You'd never think to sack your knight like this, right? Holy cow, he loses the queen. Yeah, but you get it back. Always keep this type of tactic When the white king's got nowhere to go, and that bishop check comes in, and there's no piece that could oppose, right, to block, white would have to give up the queen. Now, I know what you're saying. Wait a minute, let's sacrifice our knight. Just throw it in the block for the moment, right? Okay, let's take it, okay? All right, so now what do you do? Even if you check over here, all right, we hit him with our bishop, right? We attack him. He can't take him here, because at least we still got the knight on the board, right? Unbelievable position. All right, so you can't even do that. You can't resort to that. Whatever you do, wherever he moves now, right? I don't know. Take your pick. Where does he want to move? I mean, heck, if he moves here, right, we could do one or two things, I guess, right? I guess we take. We're going to win that rook, right? Because now it's check. If he takes here, right, we take queen, okay? I'll tell you, folks, it's crazy, right? It's crazy. Look at this. Now we get this one, right? I mean, it's falling apart for white, okay? If he tries to hang on like this, okay, tries to throw the check in. A lot of your weaker opponents, they might think they'll do it. They get scared, right? I mean, okay, what if he just already, you take, right? All right, you take here. However you want to do it, you know? I mean, look at this threat coming. Like, let's say if he tries to save the bishop, right? Let's just say he comes over this way. Did you see this? Look, checkmate, folks. Checkmate. Pretty cute, right? Holy smokes! I know there's a lot over here. It's a crazy double-edged position, right? But I think black, if anything, he comes out equal here. He ends up coming out equal. If he blocks and you take, right? Okay, now let's say you take the knight, right? You just take the knight. All right. Again, we're taking with check. He goes here. We get our queen back, all right? And he's forced to come here, the only square, right? And, I mean, you know, it's double-edged. Double-edged. A lot could happen. A lot could happen. I mean, I don't know. You go from here. If you want to look into it, I don't want to give the wrong recommendation because I didn't really look this deep, you know. I'll tell you what. Watch this in live time. Let's utilize the engine, huh? Let's see if we could do it. Analyze game. Let's go to it. Let's see. I'm curious. What's it say? Oh, look at this, folks. It found a mate and 7 for black. All right, let's go over it. Let's look. It's worth checking out, right? That's what this is all about. I love these positions. Okay. All right. Obviously, right? Let's see. If he comes here, get this. Get a load of this. If he comes there, right? They say mate and 4, right? Mate and 4. Queen here. Only square, right? Look at this. He goes back. He has that. Oh, we set him up. We set him up for the typical mating pattern. Look at that. The 2 white pawns take away the escape squares. That's a good pattern to memorize. All right, that's a good one. I'm glad we went over it with the engine. Thank you. This is the Chess Genius, folks. The Chess Genius. It's a good app for your tablet or phone. Very strong. I use Shredder and this Chess Genius. Very nice program. Well worth a few bucks. Might be like $6 or $7, but it's well worth it. You get a lot of mileage. For this one. Okay, so anyway, what's it saying? It's better for him to go this way. This lasts longer, supposedly, right? Okay, here we go. Bishop check, right? Where's he go? He's got 1 square, right? Okay, here we go. We check. 1 square again. When there's not many options, that's what you want. Look at this. Beautiful, right? If he comes down, it's all over, right? If he comes down, there you go. It's all over. However you want to do it. We pull the bishop anywhere you like. Take your pick. That looks nice, right? There's the mate. Okay, but if he comes up, right? Only square right there, right? Here we go, folks. Here we go. King over, right? There goes I think we're going to use that pattern again. Look at this. Nowhere to go, right? He blocks. Queen to D2 mate again. We got the same pattern. Beautiful, right? It's not one way or the other. See that? Very instructive. All right. I'm glad I did that. I'm glad I whipped it out. It feels right, but I was a little nervous here on the fly. I don't want to miss something. I don't want to mislead. All right? All right. So there you go. There's an example, right? There's an example of craziness, really. I mean, you know, double-edged. Who would have thought, right? The knight jumps up, boom. He takes your queen, you get the check, and it just crumbles from there for white. All right? So there's a line, all right? There's a line. And here, the main point what I was bringing up is really just this idea. You see, if you take, the book gives this. They basically give knight takes, pawn up, knight over there, right? And they just leave it at that, you know? They leave it at that, okay? And I just happened to push one further, and it opened, you know, the knight jumping here is a mistake, all right? So, okay, so anyway, just the original point is you see that black has the E pawn to push. See that? In the other one with Fletcher taking, when Fletcher takes here first, it diverts the E pawn. Then he goes in for that guy. See? I'm just repeating myself, but just making it clear. See that? You can't boot that knight away. See the difference? All right. I hope that's instructive. Very, very good stuff. We learn these things. Okay. So anyway, Pillsbury brought this out. Let's go with what happened in Lasker and Pillsbury. Here we go. Pillsbury pins the knight. Okay. Lasker takes. Pillsbury does not take with the knight. He takes with the queen. See? He takes with the queen. All right? Now Lasker threw the knight up and hit it. Right? And here, this is crazy. Now, look. Pillsbury took with the bishop. He left his queen there. Okay. And, I mean, that's where they leave it. Can you believe it? They leave it there. I mean, I'm like, oh, my God. Okay, wait a minute. Now, obviously, if he takes, he's not going to take the knight back. He's got to go in and grab the queen, right? And that leaves this. And then he comes up and you take, right? Okay. And then against the engine, if you see, let's see what this engine says. I did this with Shredder, right? See, again, genius, no different. He pulls the bishop back. He keeps the bishop. I guess he feels if he could just develop and get that knight on A1, right? The knight's trapped. If he could win that guy, then he'd have two bishops for the, he'd have the two knights. Basically, he'd have two knights for a rook. Okay, he'd end up having two knights for a rook. So, look, it's a whole different game, right? A whole different game. Who knows where this one goes? Far from our Morphy Lichtenheim game, right? But hey, this is what they're given in the book, all right? I want to be thorough. All right, so anyway, they conclude by saying that this move by Lasker was a mistake. The right continuation was shown in the game Eric Cohn versus Techman, Carlsbad, 1907, which continued bishop to E7. Pawn takes pawn, pawn takes pawn. E4, now the knight comes up and hits, but white can pin. Black castles, and there they leave it with advantage to black. All right, folks, you know, that's the thing about these openings. If I keep going deeper and deeper, we'll be off of Morphy's game, right? But I'm just showing you this for all of you young budding stars out there that want to, you know, maybe whip up one of these ideas, these old ideas, into something new. Maybe your computer will help you out, find a new hidden move, and next thing you know, you got a new destructive weapon. Okay. So anyway, that's what you do. That's where we are. Okay. I think with the engine he took there and you take back, and then this guy pushed forward, and there you go. Where do we go from here? I don't even know. Right? You look at that one. That's a whole other story, right? Whole other fairy tale. All right. So here we go. Morphy with C5. All right. All right. Here we go. Here we go. Now what? All right. Liechtenstein does play E3. All right. That queen bishop's locked in there now. Morphy brings out his other knight. Okay. And now look at this. Buying time. A3. Just buying time. All right. Now look at this. Byrne versus Lasker. Hastings. 1895 continued with bishop pawn takes pawn, king pawn takes, bishop to queen, right there, bishop to d3. Right? Now, why? Why did he trade that? Again, another little pointer, strategy-wise. Let's say he moves the bishop first like this. Now you take the pawn, you hit the bishop. Now he's forced to move it again. See? That's a tempo. He just wasted a tempo. He moved the bishop twice. See that? By taking here like this. Okay, now he's forced to take there. Now we could move the bishop. See? And he's fine. Okay, that was the idea. That happened in Byrne versus Lasker, Hastings, 1895. Okay. But Morphy doesn't. Liechtenstein doesn't opt to, he doesn't take, he plays this move instead. All right, he's waiting, He doesn't want to move his bishop, for instance, what we're trying to say, whether he moves here, whether he moves here. He moves the bishop once, we take, damn, now I got to move him again. See, he has to move him twice, right? He plays this, gets A3 in, all right. If you take now, all right, now he takes in one shot. And you got A3 thrown in for a bonus. You know what I mean? You got that A3 pawn pushed up. All right? Not the biggest deal, but hey, it could mean all the difference, right? Who knows? Right? So here we go. That's the point. All right? We're talking about tempos. Very important. I want to mention these tempos. Morphy, you know, it's all about the tempo. All right. Gaining the edge on your opponent, right? So A3. And now Morphy plays bishop d6. And here we go. I'm not making it up. Here it says, a move which would be censored nowadays, says Morphy, as it enables white to gain time to develop his queen side. Right? What do they recommend? Similar to Byrne Lasker for white, what we just looked at. Pawn takes pawn, king pawn takes pawn, and now you actually move this guy. They're saying pawn to A6, right? But you could move this one if you want now, right? You could move your bishop out. Okay, anyway. So, Morphy moves this one, right? Mistake. In terms of tempos, I guess it was at the point where we mentioned it in the other games. Morphy just really doesn't have much respect for Liechtenstein. He feels he could even play sloppily and still, you know, beat him. So I'll tell you, Liechtenstein plays it right. He takes the pawn, causes Morphy to move that bishop again, and now look, see the A3 comes into play, supporting the B4 pawn push. See, hitting the bishop. The bishop's got to move again. So now after that, there you go. Morphy moves it back to D6. And there's a little note. It says, with the opening so far, compare game 209. Okay? Just a little note there. It's game 209. Compare the opening so far with game 209. Okay, look at this. Liechtenstein, utilizing the advanced queen pawns, he posts his bishop on B2 down the long diagonal, right? Down that long A1 to H8 diagonal. All right, Morphy castles over there. Right? So now here comes the knight. Look at this one. The queen knight jumps out, right? Jumps up to B5. Hitting once again. They're really picking on this guy, huh? Here Morphy moves him back to E7. It says here, white's last move was of doubtful profit to him. Whether black should retire his bishop to E7 or B8 is debatable, right? They're saying he could have, Morphy opts to bring it here. They're saying, maybe it could have been brought back here. Who knows, right? That's where he opts for E7. Okay, here we go. And now Liechtenstein repositions the knight on D4. Okay, here comes Morphy. leaping the knight up to e4. And look at this, Liechtenstein takes off this queen knight, right? Morphy happily takes back, moving his pawn towards the center, getting a little more, buffering his center d5 pawn. Okay. They give that a question mark for Liechtenstein. Knight takes knight on c6. All right, Morphy takes back, right? Now look at this. This guy looks really, really strong, okay? But anyway, here we go. What's next? All right. White develops his other bishop. He's got to get all his soldiers out, okay? We have Morphy now. c5, right? Threatening to take on b4. Pawn takes pawn, pawn takes pawn, and then bishop takes on b4 check, right? Okay. Look at Liechtenstein bringing back the knight, threatening to win a pawn with knight takes, pawn takes, and bishop takes, right? Just for argument's sake, I don't know, just do something irrelevant, right? Maybe he's threatening to take like this, threatening the rook in the corner, right? Okay. All right. Winning a pawn that way. But here we go. Morphy doesn't even give him the opportunity. He just chops. Oh, wait, no h6. Silly. He chops off that knight. All right, fine. Liechtenstein takes back with the queen. All right. Now b4 is protected, right? But look at this. Now he trades. Here we go. Pawn takes c4. Now look at this. It just has a note. Bishop to b7 must be stronger. Black plays for complications, which he certainly gets. Okay, so they're saying this is stronger, but Morphy wants to really mix it up, make it crazy, right? This is where he benefits. He usually could outplay his opponents in those double-edged tactical positions. Okay, so here he is. He's trying to complicate matters. All right. All right, bishop moving to attack the rook in the corner, right, on a8. Okay, Morphy, no time. He trades the queens off, okay? Liechtenstein has to take back the queen. All right, now we got the rook moving to b8, okay? Only safe square. Where's it going to go? All right, here comes the other bishop now. The bishop's causing problems, cutting through there like knives, right? All right, here comes the rook. Swinging it to b5. Okay, Liechtenstein, real pest. Here comes the other bishop attacking him on the light squares. Already he goes to the dark square, right? Attacking the bishop, right? All right, Liechtenstein protects him with the pawn, all right? Cements that bishop on c6 for now. All right, now we have Morphy with bishop to b7. Got to get rid of this guy, right? Threatening to take. Bishop takes bishop, pawn takes, and then rook takes, right? Threatening something like this, something silly, right? You win a pawn over here, all right. That's what we're trying to do. Simple enough, right? Okay. But look at this. Look at Liechtenstein now. I'll show you. Wait, before I do, there's the notes to this. Look at this. Morphy does this. That's a good move. Good move. But here's the other idea. Look at this. They give you this one. Bishop here, right? Because this is what Liechtenstein's coming in for next. If you haven't figured it out, he's going to really trap that rook now, right? Okay, we'll see where that goes. But they're saying, oh, maybe you get an idea like this. You block him out before he even tries to do it. Now he's hanging, right, folks? But you get the pin on him. You get the pin. Okay, so now the king comes up off the pin, but you win that bishop. Okay. But now look at this. You bring one of your rooks over to the D file. Oh, forget it. Now look at what happens to black, right? I mean, now what do you do? Look, if you trade, now what does black do? His bishop has nowhere to go, right? No safe square to develop. And what's coming next, folks, is the rook down. I mean, you got a back rank mate threat. Even if he comes up, doesn't matter. You come down with check, okay, it's not mate, but he wins the bishop, right? So black's in a tough position here. If he trades, then he's going to lose that bishop. If he comes down, it's just mate. He tries to protect the bishop with his rook. It's over, mate, right? All right. So if he doesn't trade, what does he do, right? I mean, I looked at the engine. Look, this one too, Chess Genius, right? All right, he takes, right? Now what do? What can you do? Still, you trade. It's just like before. It's no different. No different. Just the king moved up, right? He moved up to c4. He took that pawn. Big deal. All right, so the engine, look, it's trying. It's trying its best. This is the best it's got. Now you just lose the exchange anyway, right? There you go. Look, the king even takes. Oh, forget it, folks. Forget it. And then white's winning that one, right? White's winning that one. Okay. You don't take like this. Wait, you don't take like this. You give it right back. Right, folks? You got to be aware. That's just a little joke on the side there, right? That's just something you got to be alert. Every move, every move. You can play a beautiful game all the way through and then just blow it like that. Okay, so anyway, here we go. That's it. White's better at that point. So that's that line. That's this idea of trying to prevent the bishop coming to c7, but it doesn't work. Now they give a little note too. They go, pawn to c3 is worth consideration. But you know what happens, folks? After the king takes, it pretty much transposes to the game. It transposes to what we're going to look at. All right, so watch this. Watch this. So bishop up like Morphy. It's the best move. Morphy's got it right. All right, so here we go. So now the bishop flies on in. He's going to get that, win that exchange. Okay, but look, now we throw the pawn up, right? Now the king takes, okay? And it says here, Liechtenstein has been accused of here throwing away a chance of victory. He should play, it is said, king to king 1, right? Or e1, I should say. Bishop takes bishop. Bishop takes rook. Okay? Bishop takes, they're showing this first, knight pawn. Bishop to a5. Okay? Pawn, bishop to f6. And then you got rook to c1. Okay? And it says, and white should win. Okay? But black has, however, the alternative on his 23rd move. And that is, after the blah, 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 23rd move right here. You don't take this pawn. You take this one. All right? Threaten the rook. And then if rook to g1 attacking the bishop, well, now we take this guy over here. All right, he takes him, right? And now we protect our pawn on c3, and they say, where now is the white win? Where is the white win, folks? Yes, black is down the exchange, but he's got that powerful pawn on c3, that pass pawn, right? Protected by his bishop on the dark squares. If white wants to get rid of it, he's going to have to sack a rook. All right, so he's going to have to give back the exchange, and then really, what do you got? What do you got here? It's very, very hard nut to crack. I don't think white can do it. I think they're right. I think it's pretty much a draw. Okay, ends up a draw. So there, some people were saying Liechtenstein had, he was accused of throwing away a chance of victory, but not quite. If you look deep enough, okay, if you look into it thoroughly, he did not. Black had options to hang in there, right? Okay, so anyway, so what happens? Again, bishop c7, pawn check, and they were trying to say if the king goes back, but no, it's still not enough for white. So Liechtenstein right here took the pawn, okay? All right, now we took bishop takes bishop. All right, bishop takes rook, right? Now we throw in the check. We want to win that exchange back, I believe, right? Or let's see what happens here. So you throw in the check. The king comes to queen, right here, to d2, d2. Now we take the bishop. We take the bishop. He takes that bishop, right? We take the rook, and he takes back. Whoop, sorry. Little slip there. He takes back, obviously, right? And now the rook comes to c8. We know why, right? Gonna gobble up this pawn. Liechtenstein advances. Okay, all right, they trade off the pawns. Don't want that pawn marching up any further. Okay, and here we have it, folks, right? Liechtenstein takes back at move 29, and get a load of this move. First, he plays, okay, Morphy plays, stops that back rank mate, right? We can't do anything. We can't do this, do that. We can't advance, right? We advance it to something stupid. We get back rank mate, right? It's gonna be over, right? Okay. That's for the beginners. You gotta always watch those, kids. Gotta always watch those back rank mates. All right. So Morphy makes a little escape square on G7. All right. Liechtenstein pushes F3. Okay. Now look at the blunder that Morphy plays here. All right. The best of us, right? Even the best make those mistakes. Rook to B6. An oversight indeed rare with Morphy, who seems to have missed the fact that after rook takes pawns, rook to B2 check, the rook can interpose. Right? Oh, man. Morphy blew it on that one. Okay. I mean, he had the extra pawn, but here's what it says. Black's only winning chance here lies in the rapid entry of his king into the game by king to G7, right? And he's going to try to bring the king into the game to help that, you got that one pass pawn on the C file. But the critics who talk of the probable win through the extra pawn refrain from attempting to prove it. So after Morphy's rook to B6, Liechtenstein gobbled the pawn, and it was declared a draw. Okay? It says here, rook takes pawn, and the game was ultimately drawn. So I guess they played it out, but they didn't even keep the moves. At that point, that's it. Folks, I believe it's a theoretical draw. I mean, at this point, this is tough. Rook and pawn endgames, just because you're up a pawn, don't think you're winning. All right? They're very, very complicated. That's something after you study your tactics and you get good with combinations, right? And a little opening strategy, middle game, you learn some endings. Well, the rook endings, you could study that for years alone. That's a whole side project, let me tell you. Rook and pawn endgames, the toughest to hold, the toughest to understand, lots of very complicated, very complicated. You'll get into that one. Very crucial though for the master. This is you get up your rating, you beef up on your tactics, and then you start tackling rook and pawn end games. Okay, all right. Anyway, so there you have it. Can you believe it? So the streak, folks, the streak comes to an end. It comes to an end. Oh, I feel sad, But hey, you can't win them all, as they say, right? You can't win them all. All right, Morphy didn't lose, though. He didn't lose, right, folks? According to this, they don't even count it as a half point. It's like it never existed. Never even happened, right? So here we go. We'll catch you next time on Morphy's Games of Chess with Game 10 coming up next.